Have you ever noticed how easily we get bothered by the world around us? A careless comment, a small slight, someone cutting you off on the road. Suddenly your heart tightens, your mind starts racing, and frustration takes over. It seems like the whole world is filled with people who know just how to push your buttons. But what if no one has ever truly made you angry? What if every flare of irritation, every moment of upset, wasn't caused by them, but by you? By the way you hold yourself, by the expectations you carry. We often imagine that anger comes from outside, that other people are the ones stirring it up. But anger isn't out there. It's in here. It's the refusal to accept what is, the tightening of the heart against reality. You see, people will always act in unpredictable ways. They will disappoint, frustrate, betray, or misunderstand you. That is their nature, their dance. But the real question is, must you suffer because of it? Anger arises because we believe life should be different. We imagine the world should fit our preferences, and when it doesn't, we resist. And that resistance burns us. Think of it like this. Anger is like picking up a hot coal with the intention of throwing it at someone else. You might throw it, but not before it burns your own hand. This is the madness of anger. We believe we are punishing another, yet the fire is ours. To be angry is to drink poison and hope the other person falls ill. Strange, isn't it? But here is a deeper truth. You don't need to suppress anger, nor do you need to express it violently. What you need is to see it, to watch its birth. The next time someone irritates you, notice the sensation. Notice how the chest tightens, how the breath shortens, how the mind begins to rehearse little speeches of revenge or justification. Watch it like you would watch thunderclouds gather on the horizon. You are not the storm. You are the witness of the storm. And when you watch carefully, something remarkable happens. The storm cannot hold. Anger, when observed, dissolves. It feeds on unconsciousness. It thrives only when you identify with it. But the moment you bring the lamp of awareness, it begins to weaken. Anger seen is anger already fading. Many people will say, "But I cannot help it. They insulted me. They betrayed me. They harmed me. Should I simply accept it?" Yes, accept does not mean approve. It means allow reality to be what it is. Suppose someone calls you a fool. You may bristle, defend yourself, retaliate, or you may laugh. For who is this person to define you? Their words are simply noises shaped by their own conditioning, their own shadows. When you stop taking yourself so seriously, when you see that identity is fluid, you realize no insult can touch what you truly are. It is not things that disturb us, but our opinions about things. The insult itself is not the cause of pain. Your agreement with it is. If you refuse to agree, if you simply let it pass like wind through trees, there is nothing to hold on to. Anger is a gift you keep accepting when you could simply decline. You cannot stop others from offering insults, judgments, foolishness, but you can stop accepting them. This does not mean becoming passive or weak. It means becoming free. For what power does anyone have over you if you cannot be provoked? Imagine that freedom to walk through life untouchable, not because you fight, but because you refuse to carry the burden. You may say, "Very well, I will not react to strangers. But what about those close to me like family, lovers, friends when they wound me?" Here again, the principle is the same. The closer the relationship, the greater the expectations. You believe they should love you, support you, understand you perfectly. And when they fail, you rage. Yet ask yourself, are they here to fulfill your script, or are they here to be themselves, flawed and free? Love is not control. To love is to give the other the freedom to disappoint you. This is why true love has no anger in it. True love does not say, "You must be as I wish." It says, "Be as you are." When you stop insisting that others play the part you wrote for them, the play becomes delightful again. You watch their quirks, their mistakes, even their betrayals with a certain amusement. For you see, it is all part of the grand comedy. Anger dies not when people change, but when your demand for them to change dissolves. The problem is not their behavior. The problem is your resistance to their behavior. Practice this. When anger stirs, pause, breathe deeply and ask, What am I resisting in this moment? You will find it is always a refusal of reality. Someone said something, someone did something, and you wanted it otherwise. That's all. The world did not meet your preference. But who are you to demand the world bend to your will? Life flows according to its own rhythm. When you surrender, when you allow, anger evaporates. What remains is clarity, sometimes sadness, sometimes laughter, but never burning rage. For rage is a child of resistance, and resistance is unnecessary. Anger is not only about other people, it is also about yourself. How often are you angry at your own mistakes? You spill the cup, forget the appointment, lose the chance, and suddenly the mind begins to shout, "You fool, you failure." But this is no different from the insults of others. You are simply insulting yourself, and so long as you do, you will remain divided, torn in two, the critic and the criticized. Yet both are you. Why fight yourself? What if you allowed your mistakes to be just as they are? This is where the real transformation begins. When you stop being angry with yourself, the anger toward others fades as well. For the truth is, you only attack outside what you cannot accept inside. If you are at peace with your own flaws, you will not be disturbed by the flaws of others. Imagine if you can laugh at your own foolishness, you will laugh at theirs too. If you can forgive your own weakness, you will forgive theirs too. In this way, self-acceptance is the foundation of peace. Without it, you will forever project your hidden war onto the world. Still, many will ask, but if I never get angry, won't people walk all over me? Won't I become weak? Not at all. There is a difference between anger and clarity. Anger is blind reaction. Clarity is firm response. A person free from anger is not passive. They can say no. They can draw boundaries. They can walk away. But they do so without poison in the heart. They act from strength, not from burning. In fact, when you are no longer enslaved by anger, your actions become far more effective. You see clearly without the fog of rage. Consider a leader. One who rules with anger creates fear, but also rebellion. One who rules with clarity creates respect. The same is true for parents, teachers, lovers, friends. When you shout in anger, people may obey for a moment, but they do not trust you. When you act with calm firmness, people listen because they sense the strength behind your stillness. So understand, freedom from anger is not weakness. It is mastery. To conquer others with fear is easy. To be unshaken by them is true power. Now, how do we cultivate this mastery in daily life? Begin with awareness throughout the day. Watch your reactions. Notice the little sparks before they become flames. Someone takes too long in line. Someone interrupts you mid-sentence. Someone disagrees with your opinion. Pause, breathe, and say inwardly, here is the seed of anger. If you catch it early, you can smile at it. You need not water it. You need not let it grow. In time, this becomes second nature. You walk through the world, and those sparks fly around you. None find dry wood to ignite. The second practice is surrender. By surrender, I do not mean defeat. I mean a gentle release of control. When you expect the world to behave as you wish, you will always be disappointed. But when you allow life to flow as it does, there is nothing to resist. Try this when something upsets you. Instead of shouting, ask yourself, can I let this be? You will be surprised. 9 times out of 10 you can. And the 10th time when action is needed, you act more skillfully because your mind is clear, not clouded by rage. The third practice is humor. Have you noticed how laughter melts anger? When you see the absurdity of your seriousness, anger cannot survive. Life is very funny. People are endlessly strange, and so are you. Instead of fuming, you might chuckle. A person cuts you off in traffic. Do you really believe they plotted against you? Or are they simply lost in their own worries? When you recognize that everyone is stumbling through life, just as you are, you cannot remain angry for long. You become compassionate, and compassion is the opposite of anger. The fourth practice is remembering death. Strange advice perhaps, but powerful. Every person who irritates you is temporary. They, like you, will soon vanish like mist in the morning sun. Is it worth wasting your short, precious life in rage? Imagine you had only one day to live. Would you spend it arguing over petty things? Anger thrives when we forget our mortality. But when you remember, your perspective shifts. You become softer, more forgiving, less easily shaken. Life is too fleeting to waste on bitterness. Better to spend it in peace. Let me tell you a secret. Anger is often a disguise. Beneath it hides fear, hurt, or sadness. When you feel anger, ask what is underneath. You may find fear of rejection, pain of betrayal, grief of being misunderstood. If you face these softer feelings, the anger dissolves. It was only a mask, a way of protecting yourself. When you embrace the vulnerability beneath, you no longer need the mask. You become real. And in that realness, no one can truly hurt you. For you are not defending an image. You are simply being. Anger is never about them. It is always about you. It is the mirror showing your expectations, your wounds, your illusions. Others are merely actors on your stage, playing their roles to reveal your attachments. If you learn to watch, you will thank them for their performance. Even the villains teach you where you still cling. And once you see that, anger turns into gratitude. Imagine that, being grateful to those who once made you furious. This is the alchemy of awareness. The fire that once burned now illuminates. If you wish never to be angry again, stop trying to be in control. Stop demanding that life fit your picture. Instead, dance with it. Flow with it. The world is like music, unpredictable, full of surprises. If you insist it play only your tune, you will suffer. But if you listen, if you join the rhythm, even the discord becomes beautiful. Anger is nothing but a refusal to dance. So let go, sway with the melody and see how light you become. The music of life never fails those who listen. This does not mean you will never feel the first spark. Of course you will. But the spark no longer catches. You notice it, smile, and let it pass. Like a cloud drifting across the sky, it comes and goes. No storm, no fire, just a passing shade. Imagine the peace of such a life. To walk through the world unprovoked, unburdened. To meet insult with laughter, betrayal with wisdom, frustration with ease. This is not a fantasy. It is the natural state of one who has seen through the illusion of anger. So I invite you to try. Begin today. Watch your anger. Notice its tricks, its disguises. See how it rises when life does not meet your demands. And then release the demand. Let life be what it is. Laugh at the absurdity. Remember how short your time is. And in that remembering, choose peace. Not the peace of suppression, but the peace of clarity. Winds may howl, storms may rage, but you remain still. And in your stillness, others too find calm. This is the gift of mastering anger. You do not only free yourself, you free those around you. For peace is contagious, just as anger is. And the world needs your peace. Would you consider yourself happy? Or do you wake up with that quiet whisper, that feeling that somehow you're behind? Behind in your career, behind in your relationships, behind in life itself. You scroll through your phone, and there it is people who seem more successful, more beautiful, more fulfilled than you. And you think, I'm late. I should be further ahead by now. But let me tell you a secret. You cannot be behind in life because there is no race. There is no finish line. The very idea that you are behind is an illusion. Yet the illusion feels real, doesn't it? Because from the moment you were born, you were measured, compared, evaluated. Parents asked when you took your first steps, when you spoke your first words, as if your worth was in the timing. In school, you were ranked against others. You were praised when you were ahead and scolded when you were behind. Slowly, you absorb the idea that life is a ladder, and your only purpose is to climb it faster than everyone else. But here is the paradox. When you spend your life climbing, you miss the view all around you. The reason you feel behind is not because you are, but because you've been taught to believe in a story that isn't true. The story that life is a race, that there's a destination you must reach, and that your value depends on how quickly you get there. But tell me, where is this destination? Have you ever met someone who actually arrived? Or do you only see people who are still running, still chasing, still comparing? Even those who look ahead of you, they too feel behind someone else. That's the joke. Everyone is running. Nobody knows why. Think about it. If you were the only person on earth, would you feel behind? Of course not. The idea would be meaningless. It only exists when there is someone to compare yourself to. So the feeling of being behind is not rooted in reality. It is rooted in comparison. And comparison is a trick of the mind. You think you're measuring progress, but in truth, you're measuring illusions. You're measuring shadows because no one else's path can ever be yours. Yet the system keeps you running because if you ever stop, you might realize there was never a race. But here's the curious thing. You don't only compare yourself to others. You compare yourself to an imagined version of yourself. You that should have achieved more by now. That should be richer, more successful, more enlightened. You invent a phantom and then feel miserable for not catching it. But the phantom always runs faster. The more you chase, the further ahead it seems. So you live in perpetual dissatisfaction because the you are running after doesn't exist, and the you who feels behind, that one is also a story. Both the runner and the race are illusions. Now let's pause here because some of you might say, but if I stop running, won't I fall behind even more? That's the trap. That's the fear. But let me ask you, behind what? Behind whom? There is no universal timetable. Flowers bloom at different times. Some open in spring, some in summer, some not until autumn. Would you say the autumn flower is late? Of course not. It blooms when it is ready, and so do you. You are not behind. You are unfolding at the rhythm of your own being. But you cannot see this if you're always sprinting. The truth is, the obsession with progress blinds you to the miracle of simply being alive. You don't notice the taste of food, the sound of the wind, or the beauty of faces around you, because your mind is occupied with the thought, I should be further by now. Life becomes a checklist instead of an experience. You tick boxes: school, job, marriage, house, but never ask, what am I running toward? You are running for the sake of running. And that's why you always feel behind, because you cannot win a race that has no finish line. Society, of course, encourages this because a population that always feels behind is a population that always buys, always strives, always obeys. The economy thrives on your dissatisfaction. If you felt complete, entire, whole as you are, you would not be such a good consumer. You would not need endless courses, products, promotions, or status symbols. You would live simply. And simplicity does not make for great profits. So you are taught to run faster, to compare more, to feel less than. Not because it's true, but because it keeps the wheel turning. But let me tell you, freedom begins when you stop running. When you drop out of the race, when you realize that life is not a competition, but a dance. A dance has no finish line. It has no winners or losers. You don't dance to reach the end. You dance for the joy of moving. And in the same way, life is meant to be lived, not won. The only time you feel behind is when you mistake life for a race. But once you see it as a dance, every step is exactly where it should be. So the next time you feel behind, I invite you to pause, to breathe, to notice that there is no stopwatch above your head, no scoreboard in the sky. The earth does not care how quickly you walk. The trees do not hurry to grow. The ocean does not rush to reach the shore. The stars are not in competition. They simply shine. And you too are meant to shine. Not at someone else's pace, not according to someone else's path, but in your own way, in your own time. And when you see this, the illusion of being behind dissolves. You see, the funny thing about always feeling behind is that it assumes there is some great clock ticking away in the universe, a cosmic schedule, and you are late. But there is no such clock. The stars are not glancing at their watches. The sun does not apologize for setting a second later than yesterday. The river does not wonder whether it flows quickly enough. These are human inventions. Time as a race, life as a schedule. Nature does not operate this way. Nature unfolds. It does not hurry. And you too are nature. You are not late. Now many of you will protest. You say, but I have deadlines. I have responsibilities. I must keep up. And yes, in practical affairs, we make schedules to coordinate with others. There is nothing wrong with that. But don't confuse the practical with the existential. Don't confuse catching a bus at 900 with your place in life. For when you confuse the two, you begin to believe that your soul itself is running out of time. And then you are anxious, restless, perpetually unsatisfied. The bus schedule has nothing to do with the journey of your being. Why then do you always feel behind? Because you measure your life against the lives of others and against the expectations of society. You think,